Welcome to Is Franchising Right for You? With your host, Rick Morgin. Through each episode, we'll demystify preconceived notions about franchising, both entrepreneurs franchising and those buying a franchise. You can find this show on all the major platforms, including YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Now here's the host of Is Franchising Right for You? Rick Morgin.
Good morning, Ajay. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Rick. Great. Thank you for having me. How are you today?
I'm doing well, and I really appreciate you being a guest. My purpose for doing this podcast series is really to expose the entire range of franchising through the telling of stories. So I've had a co-founder of a franchise company on, and now we're getting your perspective. You've gone from corporate executive to multi-business owner, including a couple of franchise business models, and we'll get to that in a second. But I want people to understand and listen to your story of how you went from corporate and what gave you that belief that you were going to be a successful entrepreneur.
Yeah, Rick. Great question. For me, it's very important that why I'm doing something. And I had a great time. You asked about, you mentioned about my journey from corporate to, owning businesses. I had a great time working for corporate. I traveled across the world, different continents, stayed in different countries, get to meet so many people and learn, most importantly, from the interactions I had with my colleagues and clients, vendors, and also different cultures while traveling. So it all comes down to what you want to do, what you are looking for in life. And when it comes to the business side of things, I was in actually telecom industry and I wanted to be involved in the healthcare industry. And one of the reasons was I saw in and around me, interacting with my family members, friends and all, whenever health is not good, it creates a big challenge, mentally, whether it's your personal life, business life, all those kind of things. So I wanted to be associated with the healthcare industry. That was the sort of starting point that, okay, how do I move from tech to healthcare side of things? And then a thought came that how about like starting my own business? And then I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and this was 2015 2016 time frame. And as I say, rest is history in that sense. Then I started my first business, really enjoyed doing that. And then after that, into franchise, getting a franchise for a home care business. And around that time, I met you at one of the expos. And I'm very happy for that, to know you, to consider you as my good friend. And that you and me spent like almost a couple of years discussing so many different business options. And you were very patient enough to explain to me from your lenses what all is there in the world. And thanks to you, I end up owning a Payroll Vault franchise.
Well, thank you. Thank you for those comments. And I can align myself with the preparation that my corporate career gave me to launch my own business into franchising. So that I feel that. And with regards to Payroll Vault, I think the stars align because your wife is involved too. Mm-hmm. And you guys make a great team because you have different strengths, which you both capitalize on. Tell the audience how that works. And I think it's working very well.
Yeah. So Rick, if I can go a little bit back, I would say this, that it just didn't start in a day. When you explained to me, I shortlisted certain businesses, and Payroll Vault was one of those. And the reason I parked in the beginning was, to me, it's important whether you are in a business which you're starting from scratch or you are trying to own a franchise, to really know certain things, that it's not one or the other in terms of like, okay, one is better and one is worse. It's more that what are your strengths in executing those things, that whatever the business takes. So execution is extremely important. So sometimes people get into the wrong question that, okay, and have preconceived notion that, okay, if I have a franchise, it may not be a good option. Some people say that, okay, it is just owning a job. Or sometimes people think that, okay, no, franchise is the only option, or because otherwise I can't do it. Things, there are successful business owners who start the businesses, but they find the right team. And the key difference is, and we can take any model, and you will find lots of successful businesses. And unfortunately, we pick any model, there will be many who are not able to make it and they fail. So one of the things is execution. How do we execute, and what are our strengths? So in my case, I know that operations is not my strength. And I don't enjoy that much. So if I try to do it, I can do it, but I won't be very good at that. I'm involved in, like, outreach, business development. That's where I get my happiness. I enjoy. So I knew that when I like this payroll vault model, I would like to do it. But then if I start on my own and I'm the only one, then I need employees from day one. That's why I had a discussion with my wife, Minnie, and when she got ready, that okay, she's, and her strengths are in operations, and when she came on board that she would like to consider this, that's when I reached you again. That okay, hey, Rick, I'm ready now.
Oh,
Execution is like, how do you execute? Do you have the strengths? Can you do it on yourself, or do you need to be forming up a team? All those things are extremely important, because no matter how great the business model is, if we don't execute properly, it will fail. It's not, we can't be just running a business based on the luck that okay, let's go about it and try, and hopefully we'll make it.
I think a lot of that has to talk about the clarity of the execution model from the franchise, so that you as a franchise owner, you and Vinny, you have a clear path of what you have to do to grow the business. And that may not be the case in all franchises, but I think you've found that strength of the franchise in the two that you own. Would you agree with that, or?
Absolutely. It's like, internally as a team, what it takes, we need to know that. And at the same time, if I'm going into franchise model, if I'm willing to buy a franchise, then what am I getting out of it? That's a question that everyone should answer, because sometimes we try to look for easy answers and say, oh, it's a proven model. Fine, it's a proven model, that's a good thing. But then the question is, what am I getting out of it as an individual business owner, or as a company? And in case of, if we take example of Payroll Vault, I'm very clear, even after now I know a lot more about the payroll world than what I knew when we started. But even today, I have absolutely no doubt that franchising was the best option for us. We will never consider running a payroll company on our own when starting from scratch. Reason being, there are so many advantages. If I try to learn everything on my own, it will take a lot of time. And do I want to spend that much time, or do I want to hire those expensive resources from day one or initially to do everything right? Because in a payroll world, you can't, compliance, control, be on time. All those things are extremely important, the rules, regulations. And one of the advantages of us running the Payroll Vault franchises, I can support clients. We have clients in multiple because we have a support team out of Colorado who are extremely smart people doing it, for 20 odd years. The founders have been in this industry for so long, and they are so smart. They are like on top of things. That allows me to be extremely confident when I'm meeting my potential clients, my clients, that if they have questions, I can support them in a very, very confident manner. That won't happen if I'm like, trying to learn while doing things.
Yeah, a couple of things. The original founders of Payroll Vault, Marilyn and Sean Manning, they've got complementary strengths. Sean is the finance guy.
And Trisha over there, amazing, CEO. She handles the operations in a very, very efficient manner. So the team out there, they are extremely good, and that allows us to support. We have clients in so many states where I don't even need to worry about like being updated about the rule, because if I know something, what was the case last year, if something comes up this year or last month, I know I would also know that, and will follow all the guidelines, all the compliance rules and everything, and that allows me to assure my clients that, okay, hey, we got you covered.
I recall when we were talking about Payroll Vault, they had one slide which showed what's included in this franchise model versus the cost and time to develop your own, and the scales were tipped in favor of the franchise model, in my opinion, of course, my biased opinion. So we know about you from corporate executive to business owner succeeding, but what you exude is confidence. That's and many times I see the missing link, the missing element is that confidence in yourself to go forward and take the leap. And it's a confidence in knowing that you're going to be successful because you have thoroughly vetted that particular business model. You exude confidence. Is that natural? Is that?
I'm not sure whether it's 100% natural, but what I believe is that you learn also along the way that gives you confidence. And by learning, I mean to say that I'm in sales for so long. Business development is my strength. And over there, what I learned, I try to learn and, think what I have done in the past and where I have been successful and where I didn't do so well. So in sales, if I think about lots of different scenario situations that I went through, one common thread that I have seen that whenever I went with a mindset of explaining things to the person I'm talking or a group I'm talking in terms of educating them, sharing the knowledge and trying to think what's best for them, it has resulted in, great success. And whenever I felt like a pressure of, oh, this is so important, this is such a big deal, and what if kind of, comes in your mind that, okay, I have to somehow, close the deal because it will be so good and so forth. If I'm taking too much pressure along those lines, I have enjoyed the conversations very less. And this I'm talking about in my initial phase when I started my, career as in sales. So what I learned over the period that to be successful and to feel good, what I need to do is see what's in the best interest of the party I'm talking to. So I am in sales, but I don't go into any sales meeting thinking that I have to sell my solution. I always go with the mindset that, okay, what is good for this particular business or this individual? And I try to find out that. And then based on that, if I have a solution, I'm happy to share. But more than that, if I don't have a solution, I try to think and say, okay, who is a good fit for this business? And then I try to build those relationships and I have those relationships. And then I'm very happy to connect the person or the group I'm talking to that, okay, hey, maybe you want to talk to this company, maybe you want to talk to this individual. And when you have that approach, I think that makes a big difference. That's my learning. And that gives me the confidence because I'm not under pressure when I go and talk to people, because I don't have a doubt that what if I don't have a solution? What if, my I don't have an answer for this? I'm happy to say when I'm talking, I'm not sure about this, but let me find out.
Hmm.
And by the way, I was talking to so and so, and they mentioned this. So maybe there is something that they can help you with. So I'll get back to you. And then I reach out, and I try to do my homework. I try to come up with an answer or a solution for people I'm talking to, but that solution need not be from my pocket. It need not be like, my offering. And with that approach, that's how I have learned, because it gives me the confidence now that I don't worry about whether I myself have an answer or not, because I know in the universe there are so many answers.
Yes,
Let's find
yes.
out those answers for people around us. Let's help people.
I've noticed that you've been extremely helpful because we do belong to a networking group or two, to all types of business, not just franchises.
Mhm.
Do you see similar challenges in small business and the franchise model? Are they different?
I think the challenges are similar. However, there are some differences also. I mean, business challenges are always very, very, I would say, similar in terms of like, are we doing enough marketing? Are we enough? Are we getting enough? Sort of, our sales funnel is good or not? Are we closing? Are we able to sort of innovate and have good solutions? Those kind of are very, very generic things. However, there is one difference at times in terms of what a business has in terms of resources. And if you are doing everything on your own at times, you may not have the resources. That doesn't mean that everyone has to go into a franchise model, but having a franchise model gives you an edge in certain scenarios. There are always, I mean, I can also talk about like, downside. People say that, okay, if you're part of franchise, there are some limitations. You can't do everything on your own. Or at times people say, oh, I have to pay royalty. And although there's an extra cost, I mean, there is truth to everything, but it's a case of like how we are making the model work for ourselves. So one of the advantages of having a franchise is that there is a support system from the corporate side who can guide, because they have seen those scenarios. And also there are other franchise owners across the states where you can share, you can talk, you can say that, okay, hey, has anyone solved this? And there will be an answer coming from somewhere that, okay, yeah, I had a client and we did this and that. So you get instant answers at times. So that's an advantage. But also, if we talk about business owners who are independent business owners, they are not part of a franchise. For them also, I think it's important that they don't feel limited by thinking that they have to do everything. And that's where at times the small business owner, oh, I'm confident, I'm doing it, and I'm a business owner, I need to have a solution for everything. Yes, but that doesn't mean that I have to do everything on my own. There are resources available in different shapes and form outside, where we are, or outside our circle. We need to sort of take leverage of those resources around us. And at times those resources are not even expensive, because it's all a matter of knowing the right people, making an effort. And that makes it easier. But that's that I would say is part of the challenge that businesses struggle at times when they try to do everything on their own.
I agree. Over time, I've seen the importance of building a strong network, a network of referrals. That if for example, if my client needs a CPA in their local market, through my efforts of building my network, I can make that referral. I see
Yeah.
you do that all the time, and to me, especially to me, and I'm grateful for that. Now, one way for our audience to get into the mind of Ajay Saini is to understand the way you think, things you like. And that could come through books, quotes, and people who inspire you. I want to start with the book I have never heard of this title. I'm going to have to pick it up and read it. How to Make One Hell of a Profit and Still Get to Heaven. Fill me in there.
Yeah, so what I have seen, that at times you ask a business owner or an individual, a friend, and few introductions that I have made, Rick, to you, those people, when they say, okay, do you have a business idea? And when I try to ask them, okay, why you want to get into the business, sometimes the answer comes like, oh, I think I'm tired of my job, or I'm like, I want to be independent, or at times like, I want to get into a business where I can make good money. And I think sometimes the the why part is very important, that why we are doing it. Because if we focus on money, then we are just under too much stress and pressure. So we can make profit, we can do certain things that we want to do, as long as we are aligning ourselves with our values. So what are our values? So I would highly encourage whoever gets a chance to read this book, to see how we can be a good person, how we can sort of plan our life, do the right things, and while doing that, we can be more successful and make more money also. Because a lot of times people talk about, oh, I want to get into the business because I want to be rich. And you're talking about books, there was another book, right, so famous, Think and Grow Rich. It didn't start with become rich and think. It started with think and grow rich. So it's like, if I'm looking after like getting rich, or if I'm looking into becoming a big business owner because I want to have all the luxuries in life, I'm starting on a wrong foot. Then I'm not looking at my values. So I need to look at my values. If I look at my values, it becomes so much easier, because then I'm not thinking about profit or loss or any of those things. I'm trying to do the things that are in sync with me. Whatever it is, why I want to do certain things, if we focus on that and think on that, it can go a long way.
I forget the diagram, but I'm just remembering this. It's called I'll call it an inside out model. So the core is the why.
Yeah.
You understand your why, and you align it to the right business, execute, the profit will come. Instead of the outside in. So you have a favorite quote, which I'm going to read and ask you to talk about it. The most defining trait of great entrepreneurs in the 21st century will be the ability to creatively collaborate with other people, by Jay Abraham. It sounds like he's an inspiration to you too.
Absolutely. I just admire the work he has done. And I have been to his programs, I've heard him, and he's just amazing. And he is a giver. There are so many, sort of, there are so many articles. If you go and search like 50, shades of Jay, you'll find so many valuable resources. And one of the things that he has highlighted is building the relational capital.
Mm-hmm.
And we build relational capital by becoming a right partner. And how do we become a right partner? We think about others. We try to help others, be genuine, be authentic. And once we build those relationships, whatever we are looking for, we may not have that, but other business may have. And can we leverage that? And can we create a win-win situation? Can we be a trusted advisor? So how we can collaborate with others can make a big difference, whether we stay limited in a business and almost struggling, or may not be fulfilling our potential, or do we want to expand? Do we want to collaborate? Do we want to work with others and get a lot of joy in the process? Because not only we will be successful, but if we are collaborating, we'll make others also successful. And who doesn't want to be surrounded with successful people who have a lot of energy and positivity? That's where it is. I think people underestimate, or people don't pay enough attention in building that, deep relational capital. Know the right people, and by knowing, it doesn't mean that I go to people and say that, okay, what can you do for me? Because if I'm going and trying to meet everyone and say that, okay, what can you do for me? What can you do for me? Nobody would be interested in even talking to me. It's okay, hey, hear this person again, right? So they'll just run away. It's more,
Right.
be genuine, be nice, be, really aware of what others need, and can we connect them with the right professionals, like-minded people who share those values, who are willing to help others. And if we are willing to help others, and if we are willing to become trusted advisors, where we can give the confidence to whoever we are talking that, hey, Rick has the best interest, has the, my best interest. Ajay, you have my best interest. If you and me can go and give that confidence, that feeling to others, there is no reason that we can expand our network in a very positive way. We can help those people, and along that, when we are giving, we get a lot in return. And I've seen you, Rick, you also do a lot, and you try to help people, and you are helping, like, some of the folks that I have sent your way. They gave me very positive feedback that you are very patient, which I know. And I said, yeah, I am fully aware of. He's extremely patient. He will listen to you. He will, based on your input, he'll try to guide you and give information. And that's a great service that you offer.
Thank you. I agree with you. There are many forms of capital, not just financial capital, but relationship capital is at the top. I want to give you a chance. I've been a guest on your radio show. You have a radio show that's broadcast throughout the Bay Area. I just want to give you a couple of moments to plug it. Let listeners know of this podcast, know that they can tune in.
Yeah, thank you, Rick. Yeah, so I host a radio show on KDOW Radio 1220 AM in Bay Area, and it's also on the website then as in the form of podcast on different podcast channels, and the name is Business by the Bay. And there also the whole intention is to have successful business owners share their ideas, share their success stories, and share what they are doing, how they are helping uh, their clients. And the whole idea again is to collaborate and by sharing, so that whoever is listening to the program get some ideas that, okay, here are some of the options that I may not be even aware of. And if a business was struggling, means I always try to ask challenges and solutions over there. So if someone shares, oh, I had a very challenging scenario and I solved it by doing ABC, whatever it is, and in turn that allows, I hope so, that's the kind of feedback I have got, and that's what my intention is, so that listeners can get some inspiration, get some wisdom by listening to successful people.
Yeah, get some ideas too. And I think we're coming to the end of our podcast series, but I do want to ask you, if we're closing out 2023, anything new business wise that you've got on the horizon for 2024?
So I am quite busy on the Payroll Vault side of things, and at the same time, as I have mentioned to you, that I always try to collaborate. So I've been collaborating with a friend of mine also on a CNA school side of things. So we have a certified nursing assistant school. So we have different programs out there. So we are adding few sort of modules. So say we are adding home health aid and other sort of education programs as part of that. So that's like I'm working with a partner of mine, a friend of mine, and that's very, very exciting for me during this phase. And we are pretty busy out in the holiday period, but at the same time, I'm really looking forward to 2024. And on that note, I would also like to say to you, and also whoever is watching this, uh, happy holiday season and a great 2024.
Thank you. Thank you, Jay. It's great to see you. I appreciate your time, that you taking the time to be a guest on the podcast. You've conveyed some great information, great inspiration, and great ideas on conducting yourself, building a business, and life in general. Any last words before we close it out?
Just I want to say that it was a pleasure to be here, and I had a great time talking to you as always. And if you said one last thing, I would just say that makes a big difference. At times we are too busy and we go like, okay, hey, life is running too fast. Wherever we are, if we think and reflect, then I think we can take the next steps. We get the answers. There are always answers available. That's what I would like to say. We just need to ask, and we can start by asking ourselves first, and then we'll find more people to ask. And if you're asking the right questions, we'll get the right answers.
Thank you. Have a great holiday season, Ajay. Say hello to Vinny for me.
Thank you. I'll do that. Take care.
You have a great family, and we'll see you again soon.
Yeah. See you then. Take care.
You've been tuning into Is Franchising Right for You? With your host, Rick Morgin. You can find more episodes on all the major platforms, including YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Thank you for your positive reviews, comments, questions, and for sharing this show with others.